Hello, I want to talk a little bit about more advanced harmonic progressions and advanced harmonic dictation. So, what is advanced? Well, if we start in the classical time period and we progress to the romantic time period, what composers did is they used a richer vocabulary of harmonies. So that means there can be an increase of secondary dominance, there can be an increase of chromatically altered chords, such as augmented six chords. So this was the German augmented six chord. There's a separate video on spelling augmented six chords. So here I will include some in harmonic dictation and harmonic listening. So now the augmented six chords in most of the cases lead to the dominant, and what they have in common is these three tones. So then you can go to the dominant or to the cadential 6/4 chord, which is a dominant functioning chord. So of course this is the Italian chord. This is the German chord. Sounds a little bit richer because it has an extra note. So here's Italian again, and here's the German, and here's the French. Has a little bit more dissonance in it. Of course, we can also have a Neapolitan chord going to in this case cadential 6/4 chord, or directly to 5. So a Neapolitan chord is a chord spelled on the second scale degree, but usually is in first inversion. That means it's a sixth chord, a chord in first inversion. So it's a major triad on the lower second scale degree. So if we're in the key of C, then it sounds like. So it has a very unique sound, and if we play these ourselves, I would recommend you all sitting down on the piano, whether you're a pianist or not, and play through some of these chords in the context of a key. Of course, that can happen in the context of minor keys as well. But we see an increase. So if we go historically from the classical to the romantic period, an increase of chords that are chromatically altered, or an increase of secondary chords, secondary dominance. Of course, there can also be modulations. And so if we listen to modulations, we need to always keep the tonic in mind. Of course, that is for beginning harmonic dictation the same. Always keep the tonic in mind. And so if we modulate, maybe with a few chromatic tones in it, I actually modulated from C major to D flat major or C sharp major. Of course, orally we cannot really hear. It's a question on how we notate it. So if we hear a shift in key and then the resolution and a re-resolution to a new tonic, we know there is a modulation. And then if we listen to it again, then we can try to figure out the interval between the original tonic original tonic, new tonic. So then we can try to figure out the intervallic difference between the old tonic and the new tonic, and then we know which key we're in. I allow my students to use tuning forks whenever they do anything, even in tests. So and I only allow the A440 tuning fork, which always gives them the A. And in fact, I practice that from oral one on, from very beginning oral skills on, that students can listen to the A on their tuning fork, and then if there is a different key, they can listen tonic tonic A, and they can figure out, okay, must be E major. So anyways, that can help when identifying a harmonic progression with a modulation. All right, let me say just one more thing about other chord structures. So we can have added note chords in romantic music as well. So we can have a chord like this. Of course, that could be labeled as a 2 chord, as the 2/7 chord in first inversion, so 2/6/5, but it can also be labeled as a 4 at 6, or Rameau would have called this chord a 6 agité. That is an added note chord, a 4 chord with an added note. That can happen with other chords as well, but this one is actually one that goes back, of course, to the Baroque period, that can be found in the Baroque period, where this note is not treated like a seventh, but like a fifth of the chord. So we can have added note chords, or we have also an increase of frequency of taller chords, tall chords. So instead of just having a seventh chord, we can have a ninth. So that was a 5/9 chord. So especially dominants appear more frequently with the ninth, but other chords could as well. So anyways, we need to sharpen our ears and get used to those, and the best way is to just sit down, even if we don't play piano, just to play some of these, or to listen to a lot of the music that has those kinds of features, just to get used to the sound, and then over time we will also get better in harmonic dictations with these chromatically altered chord, or more frequently used secondary dominant, secondary leading tone chords, and even the modulations. So enjoy. It's a long ride you're in. It takes a long time to actually get used to it, and to do more complicated harmonic dictations well, but it's well worth it. So enjoy.